Shit mad like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion for Boruto Chapter 72. And we need to do the one thing I never thought we have to do here over on the channel, which is talk about the death flags that have just popped up for an OG character in the Naruto franchise, which is Mama Bear Hinata Hyuga. She's in trouble right now. In order to properly discuss the possibility of Hinata dying, we have to take a deeper look into how the manga is paying off things that were set up back in Naruto's original manga to what we have in the Boruto era in the form of all the continuities from the anime to the manga to the light novels. Once we do that, I think we'll be able to have an easier time as a community to discuss whether or not Hinata having these red flags are a misdirection, or if Kishimoto's truly gonna hold true to his promise that he made a few years ago where he stated that no character from the OG generation was off limits when it comes to dying, in order to properly add to the conflict, and whether or not there are pros and cons to this whole situation. So in the manga chapter, we see that Hinata is torn up about the prospect of Boruto going out on another mission so soon after he was just killed and brought back to life only due to a miracle. Hinata states that the idea of something happening to Boruto yet again prevents her from seeing Boruto off with a smile on her face, despite the fact that she knows she needs to do so. Now, here's the thing about that. When we look at Hinata as a character, we've seen two sides of her in both the manga format as well as the light novel format. In the manga, she's shown that she has a deep understanding of the price that comes from being a ninja. Once you put on that headband, your age and your gender does not matter. If you make one mistake or you act too slowly, you will be killed. However, Hinata, when she loves hard, and she loves hard enough that the norms of the ninja world do not apply to her. She doesn't hesitate to put herself in harm's way for the protection of loved ones, and currently she knows that Boruto's life is in danger, and that's very important to keep in mind. Despite what a lot of fans have been wrongfully saying, Hinata is not retired as a ninja. She's still very much an active ninja. Yes, in the anime, we've only seen her mainly as a housewife, but we know from the novel set in the Boruto era that she does take on missions, including the novel that was adapted into the anime and they cut this scene out. But she just doesn't take long-term missions. Any missions that Hinata does take, they can be completed in a day's time, so she still has time to get back home and make dinner for her family before the children come home and before Naruto comes home. And that's very consistent with Boruto's anime, telling us that the number of missions and the severity of the missions in this time period are down due to it being an era of peace, which is again why you don't see a Chunin like Hinata going off on super crazy missions. She's taking B and C rank missions that don't take the whole day. In the Naruto Parent and Child Day novel, Hinata more than once expresses her concern for Boruto going out on missions and shares her fear of learning that her son won't come back alive, and how she struggles with being the mother of a ninja as talented as Boruto. The more talent that Boruto possesses, the more likely he is to be sent out on a dangerous mission, and as a mother, her instinct is to protect her child, and that instinct is extremely strong. It's a gift and a curse for her, because she and Hanabi trained Boruto at a young age in the fighting style of the Hyuga clan at the Hyuga clan compound, and she worked extensively alongside Naruto before Naruto became the Hokage and before Boruto enrolled in the academy. Yet she still wants to be the shield for every single member of her family. Her need to protect her family has shown up in a few novels, from the Naruto Parent and Child Day novel to the Naruto Redstone novel, where she takes several steps to protect and assist Naruto, which you'll see as I continue covering that novel here on the channel. Getting back to it though, we saw Hinata rush out against Momoshiki and Kinshiki, albeit off screen, in order to protect Naruto, even though she knew she stood no chance against them. The idea of Hinata realizing that the Tento soldiers are there specifically for Boruto is going to cause Hinata to start throwing hands, especially if one of them targets her daughter. For all the jokes we make about Himawari being locked on, she's still an 11-year-old child who, while still definitely more advanced than her peers, something we've seen in the anime during this academy arc, she still does not have real battle experience, and she still stands a chance of freezing up when the time comes. When we look at Momoshiki telling Boruto Boruto, he's going to suffer agony so great that he gives up on living. Hinata jumps up that list, especially given that we saw Boruto go out of his way to make a promise to her that he's going to return home to her safely, especially given we saw Boruto go out of his way to make a promise to her that he's going to return home to her safely. And we saw in the anime how much Boruto cares for his mother. He's extremely overprotective of her. Having Boruto return home to Hinata only to find her dead body is one of the darkest ways to break his character down, to that point where he willingly give up his soul to Momoshiki. He's a sensitive child. The fact that he destroyed Sasuke's Rinnegan bothered him a great deal, and the fact that his mother might be killed by someone looking for him might be something that breaks him down to the state where Momoshiki can sink his claws into him. Perhaps making a similar agreement with Boruto that Orochimaru made with the man whose body he took over in Naruto's manga, promising to free his clan in exchange for taking his body and storing his soul inside a small corner of Orochimaru's consciousness, which I explain more in my video about Orochimaru's living corpse jutsu and the Otsutsuki clan in my video titled The Connection Between Orochimaru and Kage and the Ten Tails Explained, which I recommend checking out for more detail. However, here's the thing. Kishimoto did say he's fine with killing off fan favorites from the Naruto manga in the Boruto era, and I think Hinata dying isn't a bad choice. She's a character who we built up an attachment to. She fits the criteria of being someone who is close to Boruto that would have an effect on him, and if we're being honest, we've had Hinata fake out deaths before, so her finally dying would be something that works. Kishimoto will be pulling another similar move to Hiro Mashima, where Fairy Tail gave us near-death situations, and then when he began writing Eden Zero, it resulted in multiple characters dying, and they stayed dead, and when people from the main cast that you saw in season 1 died later on in the manga, their deaths, they stayed for keeps, and certain events had major impacts that we're seeing being paid off currently, where situations you thought resulted in everything being all peaches and cream suddenly end up very rotten, and there are long-term effects that came as a result of it. Kishimoto, as a writer, has the opportunity to elevate Boruto into very rare company of this new gen of shonen series that decides to make deaths that rip out your heart and characters stay dead. There's no coming back to life for characters, regardless of main roster status, for support characters or main characters even. Manga readers of Jujutsu Kaisen, they know this. So do Chainsaw Man fans. So do Eden Zero's fans. And so do Demon Slayer fans. Characters aren't safe, and there are consequences if somebody dies or is saved from death. There is always a price that has to be paid. I'm not saying death equals good writing. That's not what I'm saying. Nor am I saying fake out deaths equal bad writing. But the context matters for both situations. Consequences to dire situations matter. It's needed for the story to be good, especially in a battle shonen, which Boruto technically is. And some of that comes down to the villain. As I discussed in my collab with Anime Balls Deep on how to fix code, there are several things that go into making a good villain. They don't have to be overwhelmingly strong, but if they are, and they don't do serious damage or kill someone or find a way to raise the emotional weight of the story, it means that the author is holding back, which is never a good thing. It's why for all my gripes I have for Ishiki, he at least checked off one major box of being a strong and threatening villain, because he was strong and threatening enough that we as readers knew that if something did not change, it was going to be a situation that was not going to end well for someone in the main cast, because there was true tension being created by the conflict of Ishiki Otsutsuki. It's why for all the shit that we give Black Clover, the final villain in the manga right now, he's working because he's causing that same level of tension in the story, and he's able to build the foundation set up for hundreds of chapters, which is why when he did kill somebody, it absolutely shocked you, and why everything that's going on currently right now, as of chapter 335, which I will have that review on my KRYPTONIAN Saiyan channel tomorrow, it's why the ending of that chapter really grabs your attention. It's also why in My Hero Academia, the fake out death that just occurred in the manga for a major character has a lot of people mad because of what it does for the tension in the conflict. One series was able to elevate things and get a villain over more, and the other series is potentially lowering the impact impact of what you're seeing with the villain. Hinata dying right here has the potential for long-lasting effects and a form of consequence that changes the narrative of the story, even if Hinata somehow survives. Similar to how she didn't die in the pain arc, but we as a readers got the opportunity to see how uncontrollable Naruto would be if he didn't master his Nine Tails power. You have that opportunity here regardless as to if you kill her or if you use her as a trigger to show us the full darkness that Boruto could fall into if he doesn't watch it, i.e. having Momoshiki willingly control his body. The fear of death being present and knowing it can be a legitimate outcome is a tool that drives conflict. Even if readers expect one thing, it opens up the door for an unexpected occurrence, like say Boruto's pure eye manifesting as a way to counter Momoshiki's control. Knowing one character is alive is one thing, but the journey to see how they stay alive, that is conflict. You know in a lot of stories that the hero's gonna win, you just don't know how, because it's the journey that you're signing up for. And Boruto's manga is long overdue for some pain along the way, especially when the main character has a prophecy to lose everything dear to him, and now the prospect of any rebirth is gone. Death holds weight again in this franchise. Going back to 2003 to 2009, where a body pretty much dropped every 16 months in the Naruto manga when it was weekly, we're long overdue for that. Some of the peak moments in Naruto's manga during that time period as well as after were set up due to the deaths of characters, including some who rank very high in popularity polls. We've had Kurama die, which is an unexpected death going into the Ishiki fight, and quickly as the fight began to rage on, we realized it was going to be a possibility. However, the need for more consequences is here. You can't minimize this due to, oh, it's the main character. Oh, they're part of the main cast. Oh, they're related to the main character. Because if it's done without good reason, it's lazy writing. But then again, this is a shonen. In particular, Boruto is a gateway shonen, so chances are it might not have the balls to do what some of its modern day contemporaries are doing. Again, I'm not saying death equals good writing, but deaths, when done properly, create significant openings for storytelling opportunities. If the other characters who are close to the deceased are developed properly afterwards, and for a battle shonen with serious action and stakes like what we're seeing, death can work to the advantage of the author, especially if someone like Hinata dies protecting Himawari or dies protecting Boruto. If something like that happens and Himawari decides to become a ninja because of it, it makes Hinata's death worth it. That being said, how do you want Hinata to die, and how sad would you be if Hinata died? While you think that over, consider watching these other videos you see on the screen right now.